Welcome in. Belly up, have a seat, and grab a drink as we talk some Wingman fantasy football. Welcome into another edition of Wingman Fantasy Football, the league podcast. I am your host, Michael Furley, and as always, I'd like to thank all of you, or any of you who may be watching or listening to today's show. This is episode 137, a week 15 Sunday morning quickie, and it's the most wonderful time. It's playoff time, people. Fantasy football playoffs start this week, and we're going to let you know who's in and who's out for your week 15 matchup. We'll also review our show's starts of the week, let you in on the players to watch in our Wingman Jam contest, and let you know the very best way to get the most updated news to help you set your fantasy football lineups. But before we get into any of that, let's make sure that everybody is in the room. Wingmen assemble! All right, now that everyone is here, let's see who's in or who's out, who's hurt and who's not in this week's Actives Inactives. Starting off, a friendly reminder that there are no NFL teams on bye this week, so all of your players should be available to choose from for your fantasy football playoffs, making this week a very difficult week as we have many options in who we are going to start. But let's eliminate some of those options with the players that are already out this week. These players have been placed on the IR or are still in the IR, meaning they're going to miss this week and future weeks. Starting off with Zamir White, Las Vegas running back, was placed on the IR, meaning he will be out for the remainder of the season. This player in himself is not a very big deal. Amare DiMercato, Arizona running back, was placed on the IR, but that means that Trey Benson, which was already the handcuff for James Conner, is the only one out there to get. So if you want insurance for your James Conner running back, Trey Benson is the only one out there to roster. We also usually don't mention defensive players, but this one's kind of a big deal, at least in my opinion. We've got Max Crosby, Las Vegas Raider defensive end, was placed on the IR with an ankle injury. This guy hardly misses any games, but he's going to miss the remainder of the season. J.K. Dobbins, Los Angeles Chargers running back, is still on the IR. He's got 2 weeks left to sit out before he's even eligible to return. Same with Austin Eckler, Washington Commander running back. He too has 2 weeks left on his IR stint before he's able to return. Chris Olave's IR stint is over in terms of the amount of time he had to miss, but he was not activated nor designated to return. Doesn't mean his season's over, but the Saints have not declared when they are considering bringing him back. So the moment he can be eligible to return or eligible to be designated to return at any time, but that did not happen as of yet. Another player who is now able to be designated to return and was Hollywood Brown, Kansas City wide receiver. He's going to get back on the practice field as early as next week. We're not sure when he's going to be added to the active roster, but he is moving along in the process. Staying with Kansas City, Harrison Butker has been activated. Not only has he been activated from the IR, but he will be active today and kicking for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now for other players who have been ruled out. Derek Carr, New Orleans quarterback, has been ruled out this week, and Jake Haener will take the helm as the starting quarterback for the Saints. Roshan Johnson, Chicago running back, has also been ruled out this week. Cedric Tillman, Cleveland wide receiver, has been in the concussion protocol for 3 weeks. He did get back on the practice field this week, but only in a limited capacity, did not progress far enough along to be activated, so he too is going to miss week 15. George Pickens is also going to miss week 15 with that hamstring injury as he was ruled out earlier in the week. Now for players who are listed as questionable, some doubtful here, and have varying degrees of expectations for their availability to play today. Starting off with Kenneth Walker, listed as doubtful. As expected, he is not expected to play this week. David Njoku, Cleveland tight end, is a game-time decision. He's going to have to warm up to see how his body feels and responds to the warm-up. So right now he is listed as a game time decision, although there's not much optimism that he'll be ready to play, but he has not been ruled out as of yet. Ladd McConkey, remember this from last time, guys. He was expected to play in that Sunday night game and ended up being a scratch. He's too is going to be a game time decision. He did miss last week, but the Chargers are optimistic that he will be ready to go today. Friendly reminder, that game is at 4:25 p.m. Eastern time, so we won't know if he's officially inactive until about 3 o'clock. All right, other players that are questionable. Tony Pollard, we have conflicting reports. Adam Schefter says he's expected to play, while Rappaport says that he's going to warm up with the hope to play. So right now, do not assume Tony Pollard is going to play. There's a little bit of conflicting reports here. One report that he's hopeful to play. One report says he's expected to play. Nonetheless, he's going to have to warm up to be sure if he's going to be able to go. So keep an eye on that one and don't assume anything with Tony Pollard. Dalton Kincaid, there hasn't been much reporting on him. He did get back in practice, had full practices this week, but he's still listed as questionable, so I'm putting him down as a game time decision. DeAndre Swift, he too is a game time decision, and they play the Monday night game, which is why there is not clarity yet on whether DeAndre Swift will go or not. Remember, Roshan Johnson has already been ruled out, so if DeAndre Swift cannot go, it's Travis Homer is the only running back left on the roster of any import. So just keep an eye on that. If you have any plan to play DeAndre Swift, it's Monday night, and he is truly questionable. Another Monday night player who's a game time decision, although I personally think he's not going to play, but Aiden O'Connell, Las Vegas quarterback, is listed as questionable. He wants to play. I don't know if his body will let him play, so that one's not been determined yet. Keep in mind, Desmond Ridder will be the starter if Aiden O'Connell cannot go. Now for some better news on our questionable tag guys here. Bucky Irving is expected to play. Breece Hall, who missed practice all week until Friday, is now expected to play. And Josh Downs, Indianapolis Colt wide receiver, he too is expected to play. Now for some players who did have questionable tags at some point during the week, but their injury designations have been cleared. There's no injury designation next to these guys, so all these guys are going to play. Starting off with DK Metcalf, Seattle wide receiver. He will play today. Mike Evans, Tampa Bay wide receiver, did have a couple days off in practice, but there's no more injury designation. He will play. CeeDee Lamb also will play. Malik Neighbors.
Won't you be my neighbor?
He is also going to play today for the Giants against the Ravens. Trey McBride.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Trey McBride of Frankenstein. He is off the injury report, and he is going to play today. Alexander Madison is back on the field. He will play. But if you were unaware, Sincere McCormick has been named the starter, so Madison will be in a supplementary role for the backfield for the Raiders. Once again, they play Monday night. Raheem Mostert is back and will be on the field this week for the Dolphins as he will play. Jacoby Myers, too, has no injury designation. He, too, will play. That's a Monday night game for him as well. Romeo Doubs is out of the concussion protocol finally, and he will play on the Sunday night game. Keon Coleman, rookie receiver for the Buffalo Bills, has been out for at least 3 weeks, maybe even 4, but he is finally back and he will play today. And Alvin Kamara, who missed some practices due to an illness, is off the injury report and he too will play. He is also, I believe it's approximately 61 yards away from getting his first 1,000 rushing yard season of his career. This guy has so many yards, so many stats, but like I mentioned with my co-host Bernie on an earlier show, I was surprised when he became the all-time leading rusher for the Saints because half of his stats, if not more, come in the receiving game. And that just shows that he's never had a 1,000-yard rushing season until potentially this year if he can get 61 more yards. All right, there are a couple games out there that catch my attention in terms of weather. We've got Cincinnati at Tennessee. The wind seems to be coming. These are all wind related. It's late fall, so it's cool to cold everywhere, but there's no icy conditions. But it's going to be a little breezy in Tennessee. Kansas City at Cleveland. This one's going to have a little more wind, around 17 miles per hour with gusts up to 25 or greater. It's also going to be raining on and off in Cleveland today. Not an awful day, but the wind is going to be trouble. So I can see I'm kind of predicting here a lot of Travis Kelce on those short passes today instead of the long bombs, but we'll see. And the New York Jets at Jacksonville, it's going to be a little breezy as well in Jacksonville. All right, guys, let's take a look at our show starts of the week. Bring it in. Take a knee. Who wants in?
Oh, pick me! Oh, I know, me!
All right, son, don't let me down. You're in.
Wingman Fantasy Football starts of the week.
All right, let's look at my co-host Bernie's starts of the week this week. He's got in his starts of the week this week, starting at quarterback, he's got Jaden Daniels versus the New Orleans Saints. The Saints give up the 11th fewest points to the quarterback position, but with them having their backup quarterback in, he thinks stats can go out the window as the Washington Commanders are going to dominate the Saints, and Jaden Daniels is going to have a huge hand in that. His running back start of the week is Aaron Jones versus the Chicago Bears, who give up the 6th most points to the running back position, and they are getting worse and worse every week, at least over the last couple weeks. And his wide receiver start of the week is Zay Flowers up against the New York Giants, who give up the 6th fewest points to the wide receiver position. So once again, he's got Jaden Daniels, Aaron Jones, and Zay Flowers for his starts of the week. Now, my picks for starts of the week are as follows. We're going to go with Jalen Hurts versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers give up the 3rd fewest points to the position, but with the A.J. Brown, this might be a squeaky wheel type game, and I think the Eagles are going to go out of their way to have a few more passing yards to some of their big-time receivers. My running back start of the week this week is Rico Dowdle up against the Carolina Panthers, who give up the most points to the running back position. And my wide receiver start of the week, staying in that same game of the Dallas Cowboys versus the Panthers, CeeDee Lamb up against the Carolina Panthers, and the Panthers give up the 12th fewest points to the wide receiver position. I think this game's going to be closer than you think, as Carolina's been holding their own quite well with some better teams this week. So I think they're going to give up the run because they're not good, and they're going to make the Dallas Cowboys have to pass to actually keep up with the Panthers. That sounds crazy to say. All right, guys, it is now time to take a look at this week's Wingman Jam contest. Friendly reminder, the way this works is my co-host Bernie and I, we each pick an NFL team, and then we pick 2 players from that team, and we battle it out in a head-to-head fantasy matchup where we play half-point PPR, no negative points for turnovers, and it's a 4-point per touchdown passing league here. Also, we invite you guys to play with us. So in those comments section there, pick an NFL team and pick 2 players from that team, and we'll see how you stack up against Bernie and myself and our Wingman Jam. Friendly reminder here, the way we're doing this here is like a suicide pool style. Once you pick an NFL team, you can't pick them again, so choose your matchups wisely. All right, guys, with that being said, let's see this week's Wingman Jam matchups.
Wingman Fantasy Football.
Wingman Jam with Bernie the Bounty Hunter and Amazing Spidey. Boom shakalaka. Minnesota Vikings, Baltimore Ravens. It was a one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater. All right, guys, as you can see there, this week we're not fooling around here. I've been picking some underdog type teams trying to go for the glory play. No, we will not do it this week. We're going for the studs. I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry up against Bernie's purple team of the Vikings with Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson. This one should have fireworks in it and a high score, and we will see which one of our teams outlast the other. Like I said, pick your teams, guys. Put them in the comment. As long as your time stamped before the start of any game of the team you're selecting, you are good to go, and we'll see how you stack up in our Wingman Jam competition here. All right, guys, I want to thank you all so very much for joining me. Hey, I want to put a little word out here. These Sunday morning shows, well, we're getting a lot more views than our other ones because it's a little more broad in terms of fantasy outcome here. So I just want to say thank you guys very much. This is our first full season of a YouTube show. So if you want to, you can help us steer the ship here. If there's any suggestions you have, you can get on the ground floor of this new experiment here. So I want to thank you guys for stopping by today. Don't forget, if you want to listen to our podcast, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Amazon Music, and YouTube Music. You can also find our video and or audio feeds on wingmanentertainment.net/podcast. And of course, you can find us here on YouTube at wingmanfantasyfootball.com/YouTube. When you get there, go ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment and let us know how we can improve. Also, a friendly reminder, if you guys want to double check the last minute news here on the official inactives, you can go to wingmanfantasyfootball.com. There's a news aggregator right on that page, embedded Twitter feeds from prominent NFL reporters, and there is an inactive tool on there that updates right when the inactives come out. Friendly reminder, they are listed in alphabetical order, not chronological order. So just keep that in mind when you're looking for the players who are going to be missing today. It's a great way to double check all this news and have the most accurate and up-to-date information. All right, guys, with that being said, I want to thank you all again for joining me this morning. May your glasses be full, your mugs stay frosty, and we will see you next time.